Welcome to the playoffs edition of Overtime. I'm Dan Borrello. With me is Icey Vick. The Buffalo Bills are in the playoffs, as you may have heard. I don't know if you heard it was last night or you heard on the Huddle Show that went before this one. I can't believe we got the table back together after Ryan Lasel jumped through it. But this is real sturdy wood, so it held up okay. We're back in our confines, the man cave, as some people call it. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's show is brought to you, of course, by Thurman Thomas's 34 Rush at Batavia Downs Gaming. 50 flat screens at Batavia Downs. Catch all the action. Oh, there's Saturday games now, too. The Bills will be taking on the New England Patriots. Both teams going to the playoffs. You can see that game at Batavia Downs, as well as a host of others. Batavia Downs Gaming and Hotel. Let's start out talking about the big news from last night. And, as the day went on in the NFL, there were little things that would happen with, Houston winning and other things happening where, hey, you know what, the Bills, they just, they could use a couple loss here, a loss there. If Houston loses next week, if Indianapolis loses tonight against the New Orleans Saints, or the Bills could just take care of business now, which is what most people were hoping. They flexed the game. Sunday night. The Bills had played in one NBC Sunday night game before that. They got throttled by the Patriots with Dick Jauron as the head coach in 1997. But yet last night, they came through, the Buffalo Bills, holding on for dear life and beating the Pittsburgh Steelers last night in Pittsburgh. First time they've beaten the Steelers. That's what they say in PA, Steelers. First time they beat the Steelers, as we'll say in regular English, proper English, American English, Western New York English perhaps, since 1992, that playoff game where Frank Reich, right after the comeback, they went in and they beat the Steelers. So I got to ask you, Icey, first off, and I didn't get to catch all of your show previously with the Huddle, but are you relieved? Was this game more of a relief than anything else? Or are you happy? Are you happy or just relieved?
I mean, this combination played them both, right? So you go in and going and watching it, we went to the bar and we sat down and we're like, man, it would be such a Bills things to do to come out and just lose an extra game and still squeak in somehow, but lose an extra game. So I want to say I'm kind of relieved. Because now the pressure's off the Bills.
Right.
The pressure's off the fans. We're not sitting here biting our nails, hoping that...
I have none left.
Exactly. They're in. No matter what happens at this point, they're in the dance. All they got to do is play, right? So it's more relief than happy. Of course, I'm ecstatic that they won. But now that the pressure's off, I think they can look forward to going through and playing at their highest without all this added pressure of making sure they win to get in the playoffs.
I'll tell you what, I haven't felt that nervous during a Bills game from start to finish since the mid-'90s.
Yeah.
It's been that long. Maybe it's the late '90s. Maybe it's the Music City Miracle. I remember Joe Theismann's exact words when Mike Patrick asked him, what do you do here? Oh, you got to kick it deep. You got to kick it deep. And we all know what happened after that. And, of course, a couple years ago, the Bills got in, but we didn't expect them. We expected them to beat Miami, but we didn't expect Baltimore to lose to Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, it was like a WWE chair shot that helped them get into the playoffs. And even the Jacksonville game, I was a little nervous, but I didn't expect much from this team. Last night I was nervous, even though it was easier for them. All they had to do was win one of the next 3 games. Like you said, we wanted it over with. We wanted to make a point. Well, I say we as if we play for the team. Let's be honest. If you're a fan, there's a we. They can't do it without you, or else you'd be like indoor or like outdoor lacrosse. Nobody's watching without the we. Okay? And if you look at this whole thing, you wanted to go into Pittsburgh and beat them. Like everybody said, the Dallas game, biggest win in 20 years. I said, hold on a second. Can we pump the brakes on that? It was Thanksgiving. It was national television. But this was a game that was out of the conference and everything else. This game against the Steelers, even though Big Ben wasn't playing, it was in Pittsburgh. It was on a Sunday night and it had playoff implications. Win and you're in. Punch your own ticket. Show the world that you belong. And while the Bills did struggle, and I'd wonder if they would beat Ben Roethlisberger, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You play your schedule when you play it, and the players you play when you play them, and they finish the job. But man, 4 turnover game or a 4 takeaway game, you'd expect them to win by more than 7 points, and I think that's why our stomachs were in knots last night.
Yeah, I mean, this is what the Bills do. They haven't been able to capitalize offensively all season long. Short field. I mean, this is a defense that's number 2 in the league in scoring. So the guys aren't scoring against you, and they're, I think, 3rd in the league in yards given up. So you're not giving guys. The guys are just driving on you all game long. So you're getting short fields. You know that the short fields are coming. You're getting turnovers. You're getting sacks. The team defense is playing well, and you're still in the bottom half of the league in points scored.
We're still breathing into paper bags in the fourth quarter.
Oh man!
After you have Jordan Poyer with the interception, all right, in the end zone. All of a sudden, yeah, we still got to like hold on for dear life. So what do? They go conservative toward the end, and you had the holding penalty of Spain, which kept another 40 seconds on the clock, so now there's a minute 40 left. You got Bajorquez punting, which could be hit or miss. We know that. I mean, we saw Barry shake a punt earlier, which put the Bills up for the first time in the game. Thanks for the field position. That was even a struggle getting into the end zone on that drive. And so now all of a sudden, hey, defense, sorry to make you do this. But can you bail us out yet again? But they did. And it was Levi Wallace coming to the rescue at the very end. I mean, look at, other than the fact that they're in the playoffs now, what do you take from this game? We'll talk about the negative side, because we do have to break down this game. I think a lot of people are like hopping through the wheat field today going, hey, we're in the playoffs, and you should be. That's awesome. But we also have to talk about the big picture. That's what we do on the show. I'm sure you talked about it in the Huddle Show. First, let's talk about the positive things. Aside from the fact that they're in the playoffs, what did you take away from this victory?
That defense is very stout. The defense is doing exactly what it's been doing. They're having their way with teams over and over again. This is a top defense. This is a scoring defense. You have to score to win points, right? So being number 2 in the league behind only the Patriots in scoring defense is fantastic. It's phenomenal. And that's exactly what you want to do. You want to hold teams, especially when you have offense that's struggling to score points, hold teams to as little points as you can. But they're not even just letting teams, bend but don't break type of deal where they're kind of moving the ball up and down. They've been stifling offenses all season. So the defense is doing exactly what they have to do, and this defense is playing so well, you have to believe that they could be in any game against any team in the NFL right now.
In most cases this year, the Buffalo Bills defense, and no, Pittsburgh had 5 starters out yesterday. We know that. Juju Smith-Schuster, we know about Ben Roethlisberger, who looked like Yukon Cornelius. Everybody's seen the memes. But what's funny, though, is that the Buffalo Bills defense has played to each team individually, which is what you want your head coach and defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator to do. You want a game plan for the team you're about to face. You don't want to have a one-size-fits-all offense because, like, you're Jason Garrett with Dallas, and all of a sudden, how do we adjust? We can't. We don't know how. So, guys, just go out there and just do your best. They played Duck Hodges. They played against his strengths, and they figured out how to expose him. He didn't have a very good game against Cleveland the week before, but Cleveland played a lot worse. This week, you had a team going, and he made some throws to James Washington. He made some timely throws.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Buffalo Bills defense came through several times and gave this team the victory. They can hang with anybody. Now, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, those are going to be tests. And those tests are going to need to be, they're going to let up points against those teams that they face in the playoffs, which turns it over to your offense. Icey, what didn't you like from last night's game? I think I know where you're going, and I think I kind of agree.
I mean, Josh Allen's got to be better. Josh Allen's got to be a lot better. This is the thing that I've been harping on all season. And I don't want to just sit here and bash Josh Allen. I want the kid to be better. I want the kid to be better.
We all do.
Because, we all do.
I think he will.
He should be better. And no matter what experience, you're going to learn things. You're going to be able to identify offenses better. You're going to be able to feel the pressure. And generally speaking, the more experience you have, the more you can kind of sense the pressure around you. You can sense when the pocket's collapsing. Your internal clock is, kind of set, and you know when you have to get the ball out of your hand. But right now, Josh Allen holds on to the ball entirely too long, and his accuracy is just extremely spotty. Like, he had a nice 3-game stretch where he played very well. And before that, he was bad, just spotty accuracy. After that, the last couple games, just spotty, terrible accuracy. He's got to be better. Now, granted, over the last 3 weeks or last 2 weeks, he's been playing against great defenses, and that's not going to change next week. But there's just routine throws that he's just missing, where it's nowhere near anybody. And then on top of it, I hear fans crying about Cole Beasley's drop, and I'm like, Josh Allen threw that high to a 5'9" guy and threw it so hard, I'm surprised it didn't split his palm because there was no touch on it. I understand that you wanted to get it in there, but if you're going to get it in there, put it on his chest. Like, you have the ability to hit him in the numbers. Like, isn't that you're supposed to be your bread and butter as a quarterback?
Right.
Isn't that what quarterbacks get paid so much money to do, more than any other player in the NFL, by $10 million a year? Come on, you have to be better. I want to see some sort of improvement on his accuracy.
We've talked about this team The words of Sean McDermott, meaning this wide receiver core, they're a bunch of Smurfs. Your tallest receiver was inactive, Duke Williams, yesterday, which we know all about. We're not going to get into all that. But Josh Allen's got to make a better throw. I know that ball hit Beasley in the hands, and you had a bunch of media. I mean, Twitter, for crying out loud, guys, you got to stop tweeting the obvious, okay? Some were like, that's on Beasley. Most were like, some were like, that's on Allen. Most were like, that's on Beasley. I'm with you, Icey. That throw's got to come down. It's got to hit Beasley in the chest. It didn't. He could only jump so high. And it's almost like you're going to penalize the guy for making the effort to jump up and make a miraculous catch. Yeah. He does it. Now, shame on you, Cole Beasley. You should have caught that ball. And he had his drops, don't get me wrong, earlier in the game. But let's be fair here, okay? That's on Josh Allen. And so much so that your offensive coordinator kind of showed you that in the second half, where halfway through the third quarter into the fourth, they took the ball out of Josh Allen's hands and handed it to Devin Singletary. And the only reason why they gave it back is because Singletary kept coughing up the football. So, look, let's be honest here. The Bills can't do any worse than a 5 seed. But there are some things from last night's game that should give you pause. Number 1, 4 turnovers. You only won by 1 possession. Number 2, you have to consider this as well. 5 starters out for Pittsburgh, all right? Now, they sent the house, so it shows that Josh Allen did adjust better against the Pittsburgh defense than he did against Baltimore, but at the same time, or he learned from last week, okay. But at the same time, though, he's still got to make those throws. And when your offensive coordinator starts to lose confidence in your quarterback and they're trying to worry about winning the game and playing more conservatively, that's a bit of a tell. And you got a couple weeks going now where, like I said, you can't do any worse than the 5 seed. So now, what are they going to do against the Patriots? And the following week against the Jets. You don't want 2 weeks off here going into the playoffs. You need to continue to keep the foot on the gas and get this team ready for playoff football, because now you're there. There's going to be nothing worse than if this team goes one and done in the playoffs. Let's say hypothetically they lose to New England, as you predicted in the last show, as they haven't won in Foxborough if Tom Brady's playing a complete game starting with something on the line, which there is, the division. And of course the Jets the following week, which a lot of people are going to say it's going to be a throwaway game, start Matt Barkley. Okay, now you got the playoff game. And if they lose the playoff game, all of a sudden people are going to start asking questions.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a fun offseason. Then, of course, people get excited again around draft time. You don't want to go in. The goal is to win, not just to go to the playoffs. Clock management was an issue. Penalties were an issue. Holding calls. Face mask by Matt Milano at the wrong possible time. You can't. And he's like, what? Who, me? Yeah. I mean, those are things we got to worry about, too. But I think it all has to come back to, and I know he's a project, but they're in the playoffs now. There's no excuse. It's your quarterback.
Yes,
it's your quarterback.
It's the most important position in all sports is your quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, chances are your team's not going to be very good. You see it over and over again. Great teams with bad quarterbacks that just don't end up winning. You hit it on the nail on the head. It's not about winning, just getting in the playoffs. It's Super Bowl or bust. The reason why everybody plays this game, the reason why people are getting paid millions of dollars to run out there and catch a football or whatever, is to win a Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl is the apex. That's what you're trying to do. Getting into the playoffs sounds great because we have been there once in the last 20 years, but the fact of the matter is, the whole purpose of it is to win a Super Bowl. And even when we were good, we didn't win a Super Bowl. So we need to just realize that Josh Allen, as good as he's been, is at times is, like you said, a work in progress that has to continue to get better. If this team wants to be taken seriously by national media, which a lot of fans seem to have an issue with, that the national media doesn't, acknowledge this, because Josh Allen is either really good or really bad. There's not much in between.
He did have a good scoring drive. I mean, he came through in that scoring drive when they finally took the handcuffs off him because they didn't have a choice. And he hit Brown on that huge play, which set up the Tyler Kroft touchdown. There were some hiccups on that drive, but they were able to come through. He was able to come through. If he could string 2 or 3 drives a game along to that, which he's been able to do throughout the year, then, hey, the sky's the limit with this kid. Absolutely. No one here is bashing Josh Allen. No. We're saying, for you to take that next step and make this a more meaningful season, hey, he's got to continue to come through. Now, there was talk about that Dallas game a couple of weeks ago. Was that the biggest win in 20 years? And I said, hang on, can we just wait? I'll put the brakes on that. You win last night, and you could look back and say, well, maybe this was the game. I'm not ready to go there. And nobody's really talking about that. But you got the Patriots coming up. And some people are saying, you know what? If they win, great. But you know what? If they don't, it's not that big a deal. Okay, number one, if you knock Tom Brady out of the game, all of a sudden the AFC is wide open.
Wide open.
Wide open. I'm not saying they should do that or going to do that, but that could happen. They play the games. If Stephon Gilmore goes down, that defense loses a huge asset. More on him later. And, oh, by the way, I happen to remember in 1994, a different Patriots team taking the torch away from those Buffalo Bills, then went to 4 straight Super Bowls, and they did it in Buffalo, albeit against Frank Reich, but they did it. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be poetic justice that the team that gave you fits for the last 20 years, you finally stick it back to them and put a dagger in the Patriots dynasty? Because let's be fair here, okay? The Patriots have a shot at going to 4 straight Super Bowls now, too, something that we said would never happen. Well, it could happen. So why not have the Buffalo Bills put a stop to that on Saturday? What do you think about that, Icey? I like that idea.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. I'm sick and tired of the Patriots. And kind of like I hear a lot of people saying what they said about the Buffalo Bills when the Bills were going to 4 straight. Anybody but the Patriots, right?
Right.
I'm just sick and tired of it. The Bills have a team that can beat the Patriots. Let's say they go out and beat the Patriots this week, and they see them again in the playoffs. They played them tough the first week. The first time they played them, they would come out and win this week. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, I don't care if just play them tough, even if it's close again. There's nothing that I'm sitting here looking at saying the Bills cannot win against the New England Patriots. But there's going to have to be a complete game from everybody, all phases. The reason why the Patriots are the Patriots, because they play a complete game. All the time.
You beat the Patriots on Saturday. Now you have 3 games to pick from. Best win in the last 20 years? I'm sure everybody will agree that one, not the Cowboys, not the Steelers. That game would be the game. We're going to take a little break. Today's show is brought to you by Ralph Honda. Ralph Honda ranked number 1 in Western New York for overall customer satisfaction. I'm up on all the ratings. See the 2020 Hondas arriving daily at Ralph Honda, including the Odyssey, Pilot, and Civic. Short drive to Westridge Road at Elm Grove and online at ralphhonda.com. More on this game when we come back. 5 plays that shaped this game, this victory for the Bills, and also a new segment called What the L? We're going to talk about 5 losses, how they shaped the NFL playoff picture that happened yesterday, and of course, overtime rules. This is Icey Vick. I'm Dan Borrello. Gary Sadak, our executive producer behind the camera. This is the Rock Sports Network coming back next here in overtime on rocksportsnetwork.com.
Celebrate at Ralph Honda during the Happy Honda Days sales event. Save on all remaining 2019 Hondas, like the all-wheel drive HR-V LX, only $154 a month. You'll save some jingle at Ralph Honda.
Hi, my name is Henry, and I want to welcome you to Batavia Downs Gaming. We want you to love it, not just like it here. We went to our customers and asked them what we can do better. You said you wanted a hotel, so we built one. More and better food. We did that too. A separate place to smoke and play? We even did that. Batavia Downs Gaming and Hotel is the right size with the right people in the right location. Batavia Downs Gaming. Come here to dine, stay, and play.
Only $7.99 for a Bill Gray's Great Plate every Tuesday.
Daddy had surgery and his pain was put to ease.
Lattimore Physical Therapy.
Coming back right here. You're in overtime. I'm Dan Borrello. This is Icey Vick. And, of course, you're watching us on the Rock Sports Network. This show is brought to you by Lattimore Physical Therapy and Sports Rehab. Lattimore currently offers 25 clinics throughout the Rochester area, including nearby locations in North Chi-Li and Webster. More than 50 certified physical therapists have experience in treating most conditions and sports injuries, and in most cases are able to offer initial consultations within 24 hours for your convenience. LattimorePT.com. We got a comment, and you can always write to us right here on Rock Sports Network. Icey and I are both hosting watch parties, and of course you can comment on the Rock Sports Network page. And we have a comment that you have taken issue with. Jason Jackman Fitzgibbons. It sounds like a progressive rock band from the 80s or maybe the late 70s. But no, that's a dude who was watching the show, and we appreciate you watching, Jason. What does Jason have to say right here, Icey?
Well, essentially, Jason says that the accuracy, Josh Allen's accuracy, hasn't been that bad. That a lot of quarterbacks make imperfect throws, and he compared to Pat Mahomes throwing the ball up and letting receivers go out and getting it, and or making adjustments to get it. I have no issue with the throw that he made. It was an underthrown ball which I didn't point out in this show. The ball was underthrown. He had a couple steps on him, and if he throws it out and he runs under it, it's a touchdown.
It's a touchdown, okay.
But instead, he throws it behind.
Point.
He makes an adjustment. He catches the ball and gets a pass interference call. Something that I've been crying for the Bills to do. At least throw the ball up and see what happens. You know, your wide receiver, if it's a really bad throw, can play defense and knock the ball down. But when it comes down to it, is Josh Allen's accuracy is not just not completing balls. It's the aerial accuracy when he does complete balls. Instead of throwing balls on the numbers where the guy can catch the ball and run with it, a lot of times, more times than not, every ball has to have adjustments made to it. Where you like to say, get the ball in your playmaker's hands, you have to be able to do that in a spot where they can make a move and go. That's the difference between a 10-yard throw or a 40-yard throw. And as far as throwing a ball up and letting a guy run under it, he hasn't done that all season. His deep ball has been abysmal all season long. He hasn't been able to let a guy run over under a pass all season. When was the last time you seen a guy throw a 20-plus yard ball where he runs under it, catches it, and runs it in for a touchdown? The John Brown catch where he threw it in the back of the end zone? Maybe, if you want to use that, but he's just not completing it. If Josh Allen starts hitting on his balls a little bit more accurately, this team turns into a team that's averaging 19 points a game to a team that averages 25 points a game. That's the difference between a touchdown or 2 touchdowns a game, because I'm tired of people talking about Brian Daboll not getting guys in position to score points. And then when guys are in position to score points, Josh Allen overthrows them by 5 yards. He's got to be better. He's got to be more consistent for this team to take the next step to being an average offense with an awesome defense to being an awesome defensive team with a great offense that people are going to find hard to stop. And right now you're beating teams that have great defenses but have bad offenses. Well, in the playoffs, you're going to see more teams that can put up points and play defense.
Playoffs are meant for quarterbacks.
That's right. You have to be more consistent.
I would also say, too, like the infamous 300-yard game that Josh Allen's been chasing. A lot of Bills quarterbacks have been chasing. You know, J.P. Lossman threw a few of those. And it was because he could throw the ball. The one thing he could do, like... The only thing he could do was, like, hit Lee Evans in stride for touchdowns and stuff like that. I think that will come with Josh Allen. I really do. I think that's a great point that Jason brings up. But, you know, Icey described why, you got to look at Josh Allen and the big picture with Josh Allen and figure out, okay, what are we missing? Well, Icey's gone through the scouting. What is it? The scouting clinic, or what is it? The academy. The scouting academy. He's broken down the film and all this stuff, and he realizes that Josh Allen. We're not saying Josh Allen's bad at all, but he's in fact the fact that he's still starting in the league is a minor miracle compared to the what everybody said before the draft about him. That being said, though, he still has a ways to go, and there's a lot of things he can do. They can all improve and get better. And the line, he's not a finished product yet. Well, really, who is ever? I mean, is Aaron Rodgers a finished project yet? We just know what he can do, and we're just waiting on that with Josh Allen. I'm not ready to compare him to Patrick Mahomes or anybody like that. Now, if he wants that comparison, he's got to be the reason they go into the playoffs and win these games, because he's going to be facing guys likely, let's say right now, probably Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. That's the most likely team that they look like they're going to face right now. Yeah. Okay, and you're going to get into a shootout with Deshaun Watson? I mean, I don't know. The Bills' defense could play a nice game and keep them under wraps, but that means Josh Allen's going to have to protect the football. He didn't do that last night.
Right.
Still, I mean, he got away with it, but Devin Singletary didn't protect the football last night. Those are things you're still going to have to, erase as we go. We've still seen those even in victories like last night. So, Jason, thank you for watching the show. We appreciate it. We're going to talk about 5 plays that shaped last night's game. The first one to me was the awful punt by Barry, the punter from Pittsburgh. And I thought this was Andre Roberts' best return or non-return of the year. I mean, he's been a nice return man for the Bills, but he told everyone, get away. Because when that ball goes up, it looks good on the surface, but if that ball hits a Bills player who's going back in coverage, all of a sudden it's Pittsburgh's ball. They have new life. Yeah. And he had the fire call. And my girlfriend and I are watching it together, and she goes, so what is he doing? Why is he waving? He's yelling, get out of the way. Get out of the way. Get away from the ball. And it worked in his favor. But that set up that one first touchdown drive with Josh Allen and the Bills.
Absolutely. It was a fantastic break because the Bills hadn't been playing great offense.
No.
He's just stalling out left and right. So being able to capitalize on that bad punt was a huge step into making this a game. Because if they don't score there or they score a field goal, it changes the whole dynamics of the rest of the game, right?
Right, exactly.
And this is one of the things that we have been kind of harping on. They're not turning opportunities into points. And when we're not talking about field goals, we're talking about touchdowns, not field goals. Field goals are great, especially when your kicker's playing well, but our kicker's not playing well. And you're playing against teams that can put up points. You're going to have to score points. You're going to have to start turning these turnovers into points. And aside that, they really haven't done that much. But it was something to build off.
A lot of those turnovers were just like bailouts. The Bills never really took advantage of them, but they did take advantage of that missed punt. And oh, by the way, they did go for it on a 4th down, and Josh Allen, to his credit, hit John Brown, got the first down. They were able to get in the end zone. That's made the score 7-3. Then the next play I thought was huge was the Trent Murphy strip on Johnson. Jordan Poyer had the recovery, 1 of 2 for him yesterday after the Allen/Beasley interception we alluded to in the last segment. Of course, if you're just tuning in, there's a discussion of whose fault was it? Was it Josh Allen's fault that Beasley couldn't hold on to the football, or was it Beasley's fault that he didn't come down with it? But the Bills defense bailed them out. And a lot of people, I think your partner with the last show, for the Huddle Show, Ryan Lasel, said, the Bills need to be more aggressive. To me, I was like, if you get the ball inside your own 10 or like deep in your own territory, I don't want to be aggressive. Just go into the half and not worry about it at that point.
I kind of liked it. Well, I think what was so perplexing to me is why run it at all? Why didn't you just down the ball? Mm-hmm. I mean, Devin Singletary has had issues holding on the ball. Josh Allen has been kind of a turnover machine when the ball is in his hands. If anything goes wrong there, snap, the handoff, a fumble, then you're giving the ball away anyway. Why even take a snap? Why not just down the ball? Because they had 2 timeouts. Even if you down the ball, and they called the 2 timeouts, they would have had 10 seconds left.
Right.
You punt it deep, and then they have to throw a Hail Mary. They're not going to do that. So it didn't make any sense to even run the ball. And not only did they run the ball first, they ran the ball, and then on 2nd down, after they ran 40 seconds off, they called a timeout. Why?
The clock management was
it was very perplexing.
Meanwhile, Pittsburgh's not doing anything at this point. They're not calling timeout at all, which blew my mind as far as Mike Tomlin's clock management is concerned. But what was cool was that the Bills' defense got the ball back after the Bills basically gave them the ball in their own territory. They didn't basically do what they did. The third play that shaped the game, the win, the Trey White 50-yard interception return, set up a field goal to tie the game at 10. You and I were both probably screaming, get in the end zone, get in the end zone, get in the end zone, because the offense wasn't really moving the football at that point.
Right. Well, I mean, it was a great play by that lineman to get back and get a pad on Trey White, because he was about to be gone. I would have liked to see Trey make a better effort in trying to stay inbounds, because if he kind of jumped back inbounds, he might have been able to get around him and go. But he kind of just, he was like, I'm kind of out of gas anyway. He kind of just shuffled out of bounds. But if he would have took that to the house, the stadium would have exploded, because all the Bills fans would have freaking blew up.
Probably gotten kicked out.
And got kicked out. But, you can kick out everybody, though. But it would have just changed everything. It would have changed, the momentum. But again, you get the ball and the offense stalls out, and you get 3 points out of it. But that was enough to tie the game.
It was enough to tie the game,
and that's exactly what you need.
At
least they got something out of it. Josh Allen didn't take a sack and get out of field goal range.
They did stall in 1st and goal and everything else, but they were able to get 3 points out of it. 2 more plays before we go to break. The 40-yard completion, John Brown got from Allen after they finally took the handcuffs off him. They didn't have a choice. Brian Dable had to let Josh Allen throw the football, but as you alluded to, that could have been a touchdown if he actually led the receiver. Yeah. Of course, that set up the Croft touchdown. But you knew that the Bills got conservative with Allen and then eventually with Singletary, because they didn't have any faith that they could move the football. And you saw that early on in the second half. They just weren't doing it. So, and then, of course, the final play, the 2 interceptions to seal the game. And you needed 2 of them because, your offense went conservative again, and the Spain penalty stopped the clock at 1:40. Bajorquez with the punt. And then, of course, Pittsburgh comes back down the field. But the Bills' defense was able to finish the game. And I think the story here, as much as everyone wants to thank Josh Allen for his play and his ability to come through, as Fillmore Miller writes in, Mr. Fourth Quarter, at the end of the day, this was the defense's game that was won.
Oh, absolutely. The defense won the game for the Bills. we alluded to a lot of comparisons with Tyrod Taylor in previous shows, and a lot of times with Josh Allen, I kind of feel the same way I felt about Tyrod Taylor. They win in spite of Josh Allen, not because of Josh Allen. The defense kind of has carried this team over the last few weeks, where the offense just did enough. Just like in the Tyrod Taylor playoff push, the offense just did enough, but the defense really came through and actually won that game for them. It would be very nice to see the offense step up and put 40 points on the team and just come out and play well. They just haven't been able to do that much.
I really think that the Bills are more talented offensively than they were in 2017. I really believe that.
They are.
It's up to Allen just to. And again, he's a project. He really is. But he and Lamar Jackson's like an MVP. But coming in second place from that draft class is Josh Allen right now. It's not my boy Sam Darnold. It's certainly not Josh Rosen. And Baker Mayfield's just making a mess of himself in Cleveland. And we'll get to more of that coming up next. But right now, the Buffalo Bills, if they could just put it together, play one complete game, the sky could be the limit with this team. The best years are ahead of them. But right now, we got playoffs in front of us. We're going to take a little break. This one, of course, brought to you by Bill Gray's Restaurant and Tap Rooms. Every Tuesday, that's tomorrow, is Great Plate Tuesday at Bill Gray's for just $7.99. 2 Bill Gray's cheeseburgers on top of home fries and mac salad loaded with your choice of toppings, including Bill Gray's famous meat hot sauce. Great Plate Tuesday, every Tuesday. Gimme, gimme, gimme Bill Gray's. And we come back, what the L? A few losses yesterday, shaping the NFL playoff picture, and then some. We'll get to that coming up right next. This is Icey Vick. I'm Dan Borrello. You're watching Overtime right here on the Rock Sports Network.
If you're living with pain or recovering from surgery and don't know where to start, Lattimore Physical Therapy can help. The Lattimore Promise includes an individual diagnosis with a highly trained licensed physical therapist on your first visit, a personalized treatment plan, communication with your doctor, and a continued personal care plan. You're never more than minutes away from pain relief. Visit LattimorePT.com.
Lattimore Physical Therapy.
The Bill Gray's Chi-Light Tap Room, now open.
Gimme Bill Gray's. You'll get more for your money. You'll get much greater value. You talk to kind, courteous people who really care. They're so sincere. I recommend them to my family. I recommend them to my friends. They've gone way above and beyond my great expectations. It's Bob Johnson Chevrolet. Bob Johnson Chevrolet. Bob Johnson Chevrolet.
Welcome back. This is Overtime. This is Icey Vick. I'm Dan Borrello, executive producer, the Godfather / grandfather, Gary Sadak. Mr. Seattle Seahawks himself is happy with his Seahawks being at the top of the NFC. Thank you for joining us so much. Of course, today's show is brought to you by Tucci's Restaurant. Tucci's is a great happy hour spot. They have an excellent kitchen. Trust me, I've eaten there. You can grab lunch any day or dinner any Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday night. Eat in or take it with you, as they have unique and affordable specials and feature some of the best wings, burgers, and plates around, as well as some authentic Italian dishes. 1479 Lyle Avenue, near Mount Reed. See you at Tucci's. Time to play What the L? Discussing several losses and how they'll shape the National Football League. Let's start with the Bengals losing to the Pats. And the only reason why I bring this up is, okay, hey, congratulations. The Joe Burrow sweepstakes is on, unless they want Tua Tagovailoa instead, maybe. But this is more about the news that came on before the game, involving, of course, Bill Belichick's Patriots and Spygate 2.0. Icey, did you watch the video and the comments with the Bengals head of security talking with the guy taping this for Kraft Productions? What'd you think of this?
I actually didn't see the video, so you're gonna have to tell me what happened.
Basically, they have it down in subtitles. So Jay Glazer, he got the last Spygate video. So it's a video of the actual video in the camera, and they're showing I'm just taping the sidelines. Where's the advanced scout? I don't see him. Guys, the damage is done here. I mean, you're showing. Well, we can erase it. Oh, sure you can. No, really. We want this video. And a lot of people are saying, well, Bill Belichick doesn't know this. Well, remember The Godfather? Okay, Godfather Part 2, where they send Mr. Chi-Chi out to Congressional Hill, and they said, did you ever take orders from Michael Corleone directly? No, we had buffers. We had a lot of buffers. I mean, I'm sure that Belichick's talking to a bunch of guys who disseminate their information to these soldiers who are out there taping this stuff. There was no reason to tape this sideline. They were taping him from the back.
Right.
Something's got to be done here about this. Now, the NFL's going to get into it, and they say they're going to get into it quickly, but this is the second time you've been caught taping something that had absolutely no relevance at all, even in a documentary.
Right.
And a lot of people are trying to play cover-up on this, but I'm not buying this at all. And I've defended the Patriots. I mean, they've been able to win despite Spygate, despite Deflategate, and everything else. But you're doing it again, and you were doing it to the Bengals in Cleveland last week. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. And now we've seen the footage. We know what's happening, and these guys are acting very, very guilty. So, of course they're up to something. I mean, this is absurd. So something's got to happen here.
The Patriots doing something suspicious.
Yes.
Wow, that is news to me. Now, I listen. As we said last time we were on the air, man, they need to hammer them. They need to hammer them hard, and they got to hammer them where it hurts because you can't continue doing this. And honestly, you see like in guys in baseball, guys that get caught juicing, there's little asterisks next to their stuff. You got caught juicing, guy. Well, what about the Patriots? Are we going to put a little asterisk next to the Patriots wins because you got caught cheating 3 times? 3 times that you got caught.
Right.
Not how many times you might have actually got away with it. You got caught 3 times. That is it's absurd. I can't wrap my head around, especially the Bengals. Like, why?
Right. You're that desperate. And by the way, New England didn't play that great a game.
They didn't.
Yesterday in Cincinnati, as they say, down in southern Ohio. But if you're going to, I'm going to sit here and say they need to penalize the Houston Astros for what they did during the 2017 postseason, then they got to go after the Patriots the same way. I'm talking like Bountygate type of penalties for this one. What the L? Niners blew a 9-point lead in the last 10 minutes to Atlanta. All of a sudden, the NFC's been flipped on its ear. They're a 5 seed right now, Icey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, they could be a wild card team that ends up going to the playoffs, but a lot of people have looked at the San Francisco 49ers and said, yeah, but something's not quite right there. Whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or what, they've had a stout defense, but you lost to an Atlanta Falcons team that's had problems all year, and they're saving their head coach's job right now. But all of a sudden, the 49ers, who are in the driver's seat, are now looking up at the Seattle Seahawks, Gary Sadok's Seattle Seahawks, who, oh, by the way, are Russell Wilson and then a bunch of other dudes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Everyone thought that the 49ers were the best team in the NFL for a while because their defense just played very well. The running game was always pretty efficient, and Jimmy Garoppolo didn't hurt them. He did just enough to make sure that they moved the ball, and they scored points because of it. But I think Jimmy Garoppolo is being a little bit exposed as a player, and you can't expect a defense to come out and play lights out every game. Just like you can't expect a quarterback to come out and play lights out every game, or a wide receiver to have a 150-yard game every game. There's going to be ups and downs. And a defense, there's a lot that goes into a defense. One key breakdown on one position on one play can put you behind the 8 ball for the rest of the game, especially if your offense is not doing that well and your quarterback's not playing lights out. It's just same thing in the situation with the Buffalo Bills. They come out, if a team comes out with the Buffalo Bills and hits them in the mouth, can you expect Josh Allen to come from behind and win, throwing 40, 45, 50 times a game? No. So you can't really, like when you say the whole thing is that everything has to come together for every team. And right now, San Francisco is either getting good play out of their offense and bad play out of the defense, or good play out of the defense and bad play by their offense. They're not putting it all together the same game.
Meanwhile, what the L? By the way, San Francisco takes on the Rams next Saturday after the Bills and the Patriots. If the season were to end today, oh yeah, you see Dallas winning yesterday? We'll get to that in a second. But the Cowboys and 49ers could meet in the first week of the season, or postseason. So, I mean, that could be an interesting matchup. I expect the 49ers to take that one, but at the same time, this is a San Francisco team that like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, people were like, yeah, you know what? We think we may have gotten a preview of the Super Bowl with the 49ers at Baltimore. Now, all of a sudden, you throw that extra game in there, and the fact that you're going to be going on the road possibly, unless Seattle collapses the rest of the season, that is not something that was expected. And, you know, the 49ers didn't expect the Seattle Seahawks, especially with the way they started the season, to be playing the way that they have. But now, all of a sudden, the entire conference has been flipped on its ear. What the L? The Raiders. Why am I talking about the Raiders? They played their last game in Oakland yesterday. A historic franchise moving to Las Vegas. Most Raider fans are thrilled about that because now they have an excuse to go to Vegas, maybe more than once a year. Heck, more than once a fall. But The Raiders played well for 3 quarters, and they blow a game to Uncle Rico, Doug Marrone, in Jacksonville yesterday, sending Raiders fans like Andre Fontenette and Tracy Murray out of their minds. Hashtag Failure Nation.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to see this game, but from the highlights, it's like the fans didn't know whether to boo or cheer at the end of this game. I know they were booing David Carr, but God bless those fans who have lived in Oakland. They've had to put up with watching games in that crappy stadium. They have an owner who had to move the team to Vegas. He wasn't getting much help, and I get it. I mean, he should be able to pay for that himself, but he's not a billionaire. His father, Al, made all his money through football.
Right.
Not outside ventures, football. He was an original AFL owner. So this was kind of a move that had to be done. I think most Raider fans outside Oakland are excited about this move. It's just the people of Oakland had to watch this on a sour note. I felt bad for them. That's the only reason why I included that loss in this yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, they're used to it. Just like the Bills have been used to it like the last 19 years. I mean, I get it. When you're setting off in the stadium and you're actually totally relocating your team. So you wanted to get, nice goodbye, and everybody's crying, holding hands, and singing songs.
Yeah.
And, they came out and threw up nothing. But the fact of the matter remains is that, the fans are going to be the fans. They're not going anywhere. So it's all good in the hood, G. You guys will be all right to live and fight another day.
Right, yeah. By the way, you're not going to have a black hole in Vegas.
No.
There's not going to be a black hole in Vegas. Those prices are going to be jacked up here. You'll be playing in in a dome. I mean, the Raiders are going to be playing in an air-conditioned dome, for crying out loud. The Rams, what the L? After 2 nice wins, a no-show in Dallas, putting Clapper Watch on hold for a week. The Clapper, of course, being head coach Jason Garrett. So we don't have to talk about who's going to be replacing Coach Garrett at the end of this season. But the Rams, a lot of people are calling Sean. Somebody said today, I think it was First Things First, not First Things First, excuse me. It was the other show on Fox Sports 1 with Jason Whitlock. And they were talking about how Sean McVay, as far as a genius, is he closer to Mike Martz than anybody else right now, because he is the guy who brought in these new ideas. He turned around a franchise that wasn't very, very good in St. Louis, but all of a sudden now he's starting to lose his touch. Are we just going from one extreme to the other with the LA Rams, or is it because they lost to the Cowboys, who was the whipping boy of the NFL before the Rams were yesterday?
I mean, it's because they lost to the Cowboys, but not totally because of that. Realistically, everybody's been beating them on them all season. They've been up and down all season. I think kind of like the Wildcat, people have figured out his offense.
Right.
And you're not just going to come out and just throw the ball around with Jared Goff, because Jared Goff is just not that good. So we're going to make it uncomfortable for him, and you're going to have to beat us with your arm. And we're going to send, take Gurley out of the picture.
You shut down Gurley, it's over.
What are you doing? So they kind of, people will figure out the system, but, I mean, the Cowboys came and they clapped that behind bad. Like, they took the belt off and gave it to him. And
start to finish.
Oh, start to finish. And it was so ugly that Rams fans were texting me asking for help.
Help me, Icey. Oh, gosh, do we have a chance, Icey?
And,
pray for me, Icey.
Exactly. Well, the Bills ain't going to do any better. Well, we talk about that later. But still, it was ugly. And it was ugly start to finish. And it wasn't close. And what the score ended up being was what the game looked like, because they're just not playing real well. What the L? Titans lose at home to Houston after everybody thought Ryan Tannehill had a second wind in his career. Oh, like Steve Young. Oh, like Vinny Testaverde. Oh, like Jim Plunkett. And what happens? Houston, after getting spanked last week by Denver, of all teams, at home, goes into Tennessee, and, of course, Deshaun Watson, I got this. And they go in, and they produce a victory in Tennessee yesterday. All of a sudden, now the AFC South is firmly in the hands of the Houston Texans. Now, they're going to meet again, but not a good look for the Tennessee Titans yesterday, trying to prove something. Ryan Tannehill is not that great of a quarterback. He's been playing well.
Right.
When people talk about who's a better quarterback, I actually heard a hot take that Ryan Tannehill is better than Aaron Rodgers right now, or playing better than Aaron Rodgers right now. This is the ESPN mainstream media, man. So I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm just like, man, guys play well, but Ryan Fitzpatrick has done this, where he's played well in stretches where he's just like lights out. If you took his 5 games last season with Tampa Bay and did it for a whole year, he would have shattered every passing record. True story. But the fact of the matter is, we know who he is.
Right, exactly.
And that's going to end, and he's going to be abysmal for another 2 years. Ryan Tannehill is that guy who has had a nice little stretch here, but you're still Ryan Tannehill. People are going to figure out what you're doing right now, and then you're not going to know what to do. It's all adjustments.
Remember when before Alex Smith broke his leg in 17 places, and he was the game manager type?
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill isn't there yet. So everybody jump. I think you got to pump the brakes in the Tennessee Titans. And yesterday, the Texans slammed on those. And finally, what the L? Browns. I'm just bringing this up because of Baker Mayfield losing Arizona. Reports indicate that Freddie Kitchens may be back next year. What the L? Really?
Dumpster fire. I lit it though. I mean, go away. Whatever you got to do. Do something. This is terrible.
They're a mess. Kyler Murray, by the way, may be next year's NFL MVP. The way he throws the football. You want to talk about a guy? He backed up Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma the year that Baker won the Heisman, and now Baker's regressed. Here comes Kyler Murray, looking like everything that Cleveland wanted Baker Mayfield to be. So that is what the L. Of course, brought to you by Tucci's. Sick of mall bars and national chains? Well, stop into Tucci's for one. Or stick around for a while and make it a place where everybody knows your name. They literally do. I was down there last week. Tucci's is your friendly neighborhood spot located at 1479 Lyle Ave near Mount Reed, just off 490 at Mount Reed. See you at Tucci's. Last segment coming up, overtime. But before we get into overtime rules, where we reinvent sports and add new rules to sports, both pro and college, coming up. But also Bills Patriots, get a little insight on what we want to see out of that coming up right here on Rock Sports Network.
Hi, my name is Henry, and I want to welcome you to Batavia Downs Gaming. We want you to love it, not just like it here. We went to our customers and asked them what we can do better. You said you wanted a hotel, so we built one. More and better food. We did that too. A separate place to smoke and play? We even did that. Batavia Downs Gaming and Hotel is the right size with the right people in the right location. Batavia Downs Gaming. Come here to dine, stay, and play.
Only $7.99 for a Bill Gray's Great Plate every Tuesday.
Daddy had surgery and his pain was put to ease.
Lattimore Physical Therapy.
Celebrate at Ralph Honda during the Happy Honda Days sales event. Save on all remaining 2019 Hondas, like the all-wheel drive HR-V LX, only $154 a month. You'll save some jingle at Ralph Honda.
You're in overtime. This is Icey Vick. I'm Dan Borrello. This segment brought to you by Bill Gray's. Every Tuesday, Great Plate Tuesday at Bill Gray's. $7.99, two Bill Gray's cheeseburgers on top of home fries, mac salad, loaded with your choice of toppings, including Bill Gray's famous meat hot sauce. Great Plate Tuesday every Tuesday. Gimme, Bill Gray's. It's time for overtime rules, but before we do that, let's talk about Bills Pats on Saturday at 4:30. Icey, I want a victory. I want this team to go in to the Lions' den, as Brian Billick once said, with a spear and said, "Where's the son of a you-know-what?" I remember 1994. You do too. I remember when Drew Bledsoe and Bill Parcells came to Buffalo and took away our Super Bowl streak. I want to do it to them, and I want to end it. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen this Saturday, but for crying out loud, this is the team that everybody's been chasing. They're public enemy number one, according to the Bills Mafia. And you know what? As much as I don't hate the Patriots as much as everybody else, I agree. Let's go in there and destroy them. Let's not go in and patty cake this game. Take the handcuffs off Josh Allen. Let's see what you can do. You get a free playoff game before the playoffs. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And honestly, you said that you want them to come in and just knock them out. I want the wagons to march in there and tie the Patriots up and drag them on the back of them like you did the Undesirables all these years. Let's do this. And I'm tired, sick and tired of the Patriots. I'm sure most Bills fans are sick and tired of the Patriots, and this is an opportunity with a Patriots team that's not playing that well, and a Dolphins team led by Ryan Fitzpatrick, who every now and then has some Fitzmagic that can come through and actually beat the Patriots if he plays well.
Yes.
I mean, this is a guy that can beat any team when he's on that day, which is not very often, but when he's on. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Bills can get home field advantage, and if the Bills,
or at the very least, win the division.
Win
the division. You could. I think they can finish second. I think they can finish Second, third, or fifth.
Right.
They can't finish first, they can't finish fourth, and they can't finish sixth.
Yeah, they can't finish first because of the Ravens.
Right, so win this game, win the following week against the Jets, and if you knock, let's say, I don't want to say this, but if you knock Brady out of this game, or Stephon Gilmore, all of a sudden now maybe the Patriots have a tough time beating Miami. And all of a sudden now you could win the division.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. This Patriots team is not that good, guys. They're not. And they're well coached, but they're not that good. I don't want to hear about, hey, like, whatever happens, I'm okay with it. I'm relieved. No, go in and beat the Patriots. Get nervous about this game like you did last night. Yeah, you're in the playoffs, but you want to keep it going. I don't want to take 2 weeks off before the playoffs because if you lose in the first week of the playoffs, guess what? That means you're going to end the season on 3 dour games? Like that going into the off season? Is that going to be a good look? So all this playoff talk was for what? That's showing up at the airport last night. All that stuff on Thanksgiving. What was that for? If you go out with a whimper in the first game of the playoffs. No, take it to the Patriots. All right, time for overtime rules, Icey.
Get it.
Called Dolphin Freud. If you're a Bills fan like Icey and I, way back when the Bills and Miami Dolphins were considered rivals, somebody had to be an antagonist in the office or at school. They were called Dolphins fans. Oh, I like the Dolphins because of Dan Marino. No, you like the Dolphins because you want to antagonize Bills fans. And now the Bills have finally gotten to the playoffs. You have this case of Dolphin Freud. Schadenfreude is a German word which means happiness from someone else's sadness. This is just sadness out of our happiness. Leave us alone. We know why you're Dolphins fans, most of you. I'm not talking about the guys from the 70s. I'm talking about guys from the late 80s and early 90s. Stop with your Dolphin Freud. I think I like that rule.
I do. It's fantastic.
I think it. Yeah, I don't want to hear it from you. New overtime rules. The effing coin toss. Did you watch the Dallas game?
Yes, I did.
With the Rams? Okay, overtime rule. Let's have a coin. One side says home, one side says visitor. No calling it in the air. You just flip the coin wherever it lands. That side, you want to defer, or do you want the ball now? Or do you want to defend one end zone or the other? After that team gets its choice, the other team gets their choice. Let's keep this simple. But the key word is defer. Defer. If you defer, that means the choice goes to the second half. This is ridiculous how freaking complicated the coin toss is. And then Mike Pereira's got to come and say, unfortunately, guys, the coin toss is not reviewable. I mean, we're talking about reviewing the coin toss.
Listen, you ever see the movie Rat Race where Gooden Jr. he can't even read the coin? It doesn't matter what happens. It's going to be some sort of dumb freaking mistake that a referee's going to be like, no, it was heads. No, it was taps. Oh, it was home. It was away. No, and then he's throwing guys out. It's always going to be a mess.
We had the Thanksgiving game. We had a couple instances where the coin toss this year already. And in this Madden culture, like a lot of people, like Charlie Strong's first game at Texas, the beginning of the end started before his first game when he sent the captains out. Now we'll kick. Okay, great. They end up kicking twice. They had to kick after the half, too, because in Madden, when you play, you either want the ball now or you're going to kick and you'll get in the second half. Where in football, there's real decisions. Let's just simplify the coin toss. Overtime rules. Spygate, any gate. Can we stop using the word gate? Can we just come up with a new term for any time the Patriots do something suspicious? I mean, I don't know. I know, Watergate, and of course, every other gate was Deflategate, Spygate. Can we come up with something new?
Like just Patriots?
I don't know. Yeah, let's just call it the Patriots. Like every dirty joke's the aristocrats. Let's just say it's just the Patriot way. How about we call it that? The Patriot way. 2.0, 3.0.
Well, the Patriots.
Overtime rules. Speaking of the Patriots, I think it's time for a couple of local broadcasters in Buffalo, not Rochester, to apologize to Stephon Gilmore. When Stephon Gilmore left Buffalo, he tweeted out, finally people will be able to watch me play, or something to that effect. And one guy who's now in Dallas, and another guy who's actually leaving television and going to work PR for a local school district, and God bless him, and I like them both showed highlights of Stephon Gilmore blowing coverages before he signed, or after he signed with the Patriots. This will be the third time, at least that I know of, that I can think off the top of my head, where the Buffalo Bills had a future Hall of Famer in their hands, and he walked and went on and did better things. Stephon Gilmore, Jason Peters, and I believe the other one was, Marshawn Lynch. Right? But you guys showed all those crappy highlights. The guy was a heck of a player in Buffalo, and he went and got the money that the Bills would not pay him, and he's on his way to a Hall of Fame career. I think that two-time Murrow Award winner in Dallas owes him an apology. I really do, because I thought that was a cheap shot. Yeah. And I'm sorry, that was unacceptable. Stephon Gilmore, God bless him.
Imagine if we had Gilmore and Trey White right now.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, then you could do whatever you wanted with that defense,
with anybody,
with those lockdown corners.
Wow.
Overtime rules. The Heisman. You know who should vote for the Heisman? Forget the media. I know 2 guys with Heisman votes right now who don't watch any college football. The Heisman, God bless Joe Burrow for winning it. It was awesome. He's got a great story. But overtime rules. The guys who should be voting for the Heisman are the 32 NFL decision makers who, if they had the first pick of the overall in the NFL draft, what college player are you taking, no matter what? Yeah. And you know what they would all say? Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence. You're going to say, Dan, wait a second. Yeah, but Trevor Lawrence didn't have as good a year as Joe Burrows or Chase Young or whomever. Yeah, but you know what? It opens it up to everybody. This has become a skill, it's not become, it's always been a skill position player award.
Right.
Quarterback, wide receiver, running back. Only once, Charles Woodson, a defensive player, won the Heisman. And why did he win it? Why did he win it? Because he played offense too.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, so
special teams.
Right, exactly. Give everybody a shot at winning this award. Let the NFL GMs decide. Another overtime rule, of course. Joe Burrow gave a great speech. I don't need Twitter to tell me how great it was. I don't need Twitter to take Joe Burrow and piggyback and virtue signal and say, yeah, people need to pay attention to what's going on in Ohio. Or this is a humble young man. We could all learn a lesson from him. Yeah, no kidding. Why don't you just let him say it? Why do you got to say it for him? Stop. You don't need to do that. While I'm on the Twitter rant, I watched the game last night. Icey watched the game, and if you're a Bills fan, odds are you follow people on Twitter who cover the team. And guess what? Every time a turnover happened or a touchdown was scored, everybody said the same thing. No kidding. We're watching. Give me an opinion. You can say what you want about Sal Mayrana, but the guy always has an opinion, a spin. I look forward to his tweets because they add value. Don't give me the obvious. Give me some value. Give me some thought. Yards per pass, great example of thought. Ryan Lasel, another great example. You may not agree with him, but he gives you perspective. He gives you thought. That type of tweeting I can get behind. Not touchdown Bills, touchdown Bills, touchdown Bills. Trey White hurt. Oh no, Trey White hurt. Trey White down. Yeah, I'm watching. Odds are if I'm watching on Twitter, I'm probably watching the game too, and I'm not just following you on Twitter. Overtime rules. Eli Manning and Tom Coughlin automatically should get into Canton when their 5-year eligibility is up or whenever Coughlin's eligibility is ready to go because they're the only 2 guys that beat the New England Patriots in the 2 biggest games in the world with everything that the Patriots had working for them, including Spygate and everything else that they tried to do.
Disagree. I can't. The fact that Eli and his Eli face, what is his bust gonna look like?
How many shots did his brother Peyton go after before? Okay, yeah, I beat Tom Brady. Yeah, you had a lot of shots to do it. Eli only had twice.
Yeah, I get it. It's just Eli is just an average quarterback that happened to be on a great defensive team.
Overtime rules. I want progressive commercials to run on a loop during the playoffs so Baker Mayfield could get an idea of what he should have been doing last offseason so he doesn't repeat the same mistake next year. I still believe in Baker Mayfield. I still believe he should keep his mouth shut, and I still think he needs the right coach to steer him in the right direction. Baker Mayfield doesn't need a pal. That's Freddie Kitchens. That's Odell Beckham Jr. You know what he needs? He needs a real head coach, maybe a Mike McCarthy or somebody like that who could say, hey, look, Baker, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's how you fix it, and I care about you, and here's why I'm so hard on you, because the Cleveland Browns drafted you to be the first overall pick. Think about your background. Think about where you came from. You were a 2-time walk-on. You won the Heisman, became the first overall pick in the National Football League. Now there's expectations, and you've regressed. Stop taping the commercials. Get in the film room and hire a quarterbacks coach and get ready for 2020. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't want to see a number one overall pick get wasted.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of the coaching. That team is really underperforming, top to bottom. It's not just Baker. The defense is all looking on paper, so it's an all-star team. I had people telling me that this Cleveland Browns team was a Super Bowl contender. And it was just a dumpster fire.
They picked them for the Super Bowl. Yes. Reputable people picked them for the Super Bowl. I'm like, okay, I'll give you this. Don't win the division. Because I thought, I didn't know about that Lamar Jackson would be as good as he was. Mm-hmm. I don't think any of us did.
No.
And Ben Roethlisberger had a bad year last year with Antonio Brown and everything else going on in Pittsburgh, and they still didn't make the playoffs. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is the year the Browns make the playoffs. And they've done the exact opposite. And finally, overtime rules, going into baseball. Yankee fans, you're going to be paying the mortgage on Garrett Cole for a long time, all right? And I am a Yankee fan, and I'm happy with the signing, and hopefully they'll win the World Series. But remember 2009? You were paying the mortgage on that World Championship all the way to 2016. Think about CeCe Sabathia. Think about A-Rod. Before that, think about Mark Teixeira and a lot of other guys. You're going to be paying that mortgage a long time. Oh, by the way, you still have to pay the mortgage on Giancarlo Stanton, who had an awful year spent most of it on the injured list last year. So 5 years from now, don't be complaining if they win a World Series, but suddenly Garrett Cole isn't as good as you want him to be down the line. This guy's not Pedro Martinez. He's not Curt Schilling. He's not Randy Johnson. I don't know if he's Madison Bumgarner. Hopefully in October he can be. But he's just really, really good, and he's the best pitcher coming up at a time where pitching is at a premium, particularly starting pitching. It's the one thing analytics cannot give you. But don't be complaining 5 years from now if he delivers and then all of a sudden falls off the face of the earth, because guess what? That's what you paid for this year, because you've been chasing a championship now for, 10 years and counting. So that's going to do it. For the Godfather, Gary Sadak, about to be a 2-time grandparent very, very soon. For Icey Vick, who's, we're going to be starting naming out some awards. The Icy Hot Awards or something like that.
Icy Hot Awards.
Icy's hot or Icy's cold.
Yeah.
Maybe get a sponsor.
Hey, there we go.
We'll talk next week of who is hot and who is cold according to Icey. I'm Dan Borrello. Remember, enjoy the ride, sports fans. It's just a game. It was cool to see all those Bills fans out at the airport welcoming that team back. It's been a long time coming. The Buffalo Bills on their own merit finally in the playoffs. Let's take it to the Patriots and do it. And, of course, finish the season strong and get ready for the playoffs. So thank you so much for watching us here on Rock Sports Network. Don't forget to check us out. All the content on rocksportsnetwork.com.
Playoffs?
You kidding me?
Love it.